After more than a year in Sierra Leone, Janet had adjusted well to the rituals and the daily life in her village, until a summoning came in the middle of the night. Let's welcome Janet Allen for a summoning in the night.
Is this gonna work? Can you hear me? Okay. So I served as a volunteer in one of the poorest parts of one of the poorest countries in the world, Sierra Leone. And when we were in training, we were told that you really want to live like the people live. And I can be a kind of literal person, and so I took this very much to heart. Okay, I'm going to live as the people live. And then I got to my village, Fintonia, and I learned very quickly that in Fintonia, they really eat one meal a day. That's what they have. Sometimes in the morning you might get a piece of fruit. They have bananas are ripe, or there's mangoes. But otherwise, there really is just one meal a day. And that meal comes mid-afternoon to early evening. And it comes in two bowls. One is a bowl of rice, and one is a bowl of either soup or sauce that you put over the rice, and that's how you eat it. And the main protein that they have is peanuts. And then other than peanuts, the main source of any kind of animal protein is what they call bonga, which is a dried fish. And they're usually about the size of my finger, and that includes the head and the tail, and you eat the whole thing. And so oftentimes my meal would come, and there would be soup, and on top of the soup would be floating this one lovely piece of bonga that I became quite fond of. I was hungry, and it was good. It was smoky, it was tasty, and I was really happy to have that bit of protein. So I've been there for more than a year, and I've really enjoyed it a lot. And unlike most of my colleagues who had gained weight, I lost weight, which was a good thing. And I've had my meal for the day, and I've gone to bed, and it's after midnight now, and I'm asleep, and I'm probably dreaming about pizza or a big juicy hamburger or something. And there's a knock at the door. And when they knock, they don't just knock, they also make a noise. So they go, "Kong, kong, 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 Kariatu, Kariatu, come." And Kariatu is my name in Fintonia, that's what they call me. And I'm thinking, they've never woken me up in the middle of the night. They don't wait, it's dark, there's nothing, but come. So I say, nah, and then I put my flip-flops on, I put a robe on, I grab my kerosene lamp, there's no electricity. I go to the door to answer the door to say, what? Come! The pa says come. They are already off my veranda and headed up into the village. So I close my door behind me and I follow them up to the center of the town. And it is dark, it is pitch black, and there is no one around. And their call to me was not one of crisis, it was kind of excitement and urgency. Come! And so we get to the top, to the center of the village, and there's still no one around. And then we go down the hill, and as we're going down the hill, there's still no people until I start to notice that there's about 30 or 40 people that are gathered around this one house. And it's Pakolai. Pakolai is one of the elders. He has a house that is on a hill, and there's about 10 steps up to his veranda. And at the base of the steps and all up the steps and on the veranda are all these people, and they're kind of whispering, but you can tell there's just an excitement in the air. There's an excitement. And as we come to all these people, they kind of part so that I can get through. And I go up the stairs to the top of the veranda, and there's people on the veranda. And in the middle of all the people on the veranda, lit by kerosene lamps, is a big door that someone's taken off the hinges, and it's on the ground, a big door. And on this door is a huge bush cow that is dead, thankfully. Because, so I'm weirdly afraid of cows. And I'm like domestic cows, milk cows. I'm just afraid they're going to step on me or something. I don't know. But this isn't a domestic cow. This is an African buffalo, and they have huge horns, and they weigh about 1,000 pounds. And I had never seen one, and I don't ever want to see one alive. because they are responsible for at least 200 deaths a year. They're not something to be messed with. And here was one, huge, sitting on this door in front of us. And what had happened is a farmer, a poor farmer who lives across the street from the elder, his farm is 7 miles from town, through the bush. And because his farm is so far out of town, he had huge problems with animals, wild animals, eating his food, eating his, things from his farms. Monkeys, baboons, chimpanzees, and apparently bush cows. And he was so desperate to figure out a way to protect his farm that he had dug a huge hole, fairly deep and big, and he'd covered it with a mat, and this was some time ago. Well, this morning, before this evening had happened, he walked the 7 miles to his farm, and he discovered he'd actually caught something in this trap, a huge bush cow. But he's one person, and it's 1,000 pounds. So he has to walk the 7 miles back to Fintonia and find a group of people, and they were smart enough to bring a door with them. And they probably brought some rope too, but I don't know. They had to go, so they had to all walk the 7 miles back. Then they had to figure out how to get the cow out of the hole, and they put it on the door, and then they carried it all the way to 7 miles through the bush. So it was no wonder it was after midnight, because they'd been dealing with that all day. And so here it was. And not only had they done that, they carried it the 10 steps up to Papalai's veranda, which is crazy to me, but anyway. So I'm really happy that they woke me up, because I'm thinking, wow, this is really exciting. I mean, this never happens. But why am I here? I mean, it's really cool and everything, but what's my purpose here? And they're all looking at me, and a few of them are kind of saying something to me, and I'm not really understanding. I'm just kind of taking it all in. And finally, one of my friends says to me, they want to know what piece you want. Oh, okay. They want to know what piece I want. Okay, so I don't know anything. I'm not a butcher. I don't know anything about animals, but I know my mom, when she would cook, if she was going to get a good piece, it would be rump roast. And so I went to the back of the cow, and I said, something in here. And then I instructed them to, I have my friend's wife cooks for me, so I said, and give it to her, because she'll take care of it. And then after I made my declaration, then there was all sorts of excitement, and I don't really know what they were talking about, and they didn't really care about me anymore. So I just kind of receded into the mist and went back to bed. And when I woke up in the morning, it was like a tailgater. I mean, the smell of roasted meat was everywhere, everywhere. And as I went around town, people would say, Kariatu, come eat, come have roast meat. And then I'd go over here, Kariatu, come, roast meat, come have roast meat. And then there were little girls, and they had skewered meat and roasted it, and they were carrying it on their heads to the trucks that were coming through and selling it for $1 Leone, which is about $1, to anyone that come by. So, and then that evening when my meal came, of course, it was just chock-a-block full of pieces of meat. No little fish or anything to be seen anywhere. And for the next 4 days, it was just this impromptu festival of gorging ourselves on this bush cow that had fallen into us. And it was of incredible benefit to this poor farmer. He gained status in the village through his contribution to all of us in eating it. By the 4th day, the beef was pretty rangy. So on the 5th day, I was quite happy, actually, when my meal came and I opened the lid and my little tongue of fish was in it.